like to start? 8 to maybe 8:15 or 16 we'll do the Keval Bhakti part. That much I think, if possible. Right? So who will like to start? If somebody has prepared some notes or some understanding, if somebody want to share the screen, they can do. From them.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, can I start?
Yeah, please. No problem, please.
Little bit like, actually, this chapter is little difficult for me to understand, but whatever I understood, I'm just,
Okay.
I will try to. Yeah, so actually, this chapter starts with the question which Arjun asked to Krishna. It's like he's asking 8 questions in the text 1 and text 2. So he's asking the question regarding like what is Brahman, then what is the self, then what are the fruitive activities, then what is this material manifestation, and what are the demigods. He's asking this in the first verse, and in the second verse he's asking how does he live in the body, and how can those engaged in devotional service know him at the time of death. So like he's questioning in these 2 verses, and now from text 3 he will be like Krishna will be answering all the questions. So he's mentioning like Brahman as who can be said as indestructible and like indestructible, basically the living entities. And Prabhupada is mentioning about the Supreme Brahman also, who is a super soul in the purport. And the eternal nature is called the Adhyatma, the self. Actually, this it's little difficult to words. And the action pertaining, like the karma, action pertaining to the development of the material bodies of living is called karma or fruitive activities. So he's answering all these questions in this 4-5 verses. Then in 4th verse, he's saying the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adi, with the material manifestation, and the universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods. He's like the universal form of him. He's mentioning as the Adi
Daiva.
and Adi Daiva, yes. And he is mentioning himself as Supreme Lord, who is present as Super Soul in everyone's heart. And he is also calling himself as the Lord of Sacrifice, as Adi Yagya, the Lord of Sacrifice. Yeah. Yes. So he's the whatever question asked by Arjun, he's answering those questions in this 4 verses. And in the 5th verse, he's at the time, like Arjun asks how one can remember Krishna at the time of death. So in verse 5, he is telling, like at the end of his life, whoever remember him, he attends him. And in text 6, he is mentioning that whatever one remembers at the time of death, so he gets that body.
Right.
So in this, actually in this 8.6, Prabhupada is giving the example of Maharaj Bharat also, wherein he was a great devotee and even an exalted devotee, but because at the time of death he remembered the body of deer, so he got the deer's body in his next birth. So in this verse, actually one phrase I like very much, which Prabhupada mentions, is that this life creates one's next life. So whatever we do in this life, we are creating for our next life.
Right.
So I really like this phrase in this. And then in 8.7, very important, like Krishna is not asking to give up the prescribed duties. Instead, he is asking to do all the prescribed duties, and at the same time, he is asking him to remember him.
Right.
Like many people says that like even who join Krishna consciousness very recently, I've seen this, like this example in my practical life also, that they feel that we should do just Krishna conscious activities and they just ignore all the duties.
Right.
So actually in this verse specially mentions that Krishna is also saying that we should do all our prescribed duties and we should not ignore them, and at the same time we should remember him. And by remembering him, like the contamination of the mind will be gone, and our mind will be mind and intelligence will be engaged in Krishna's activity.
Okay.
And by doing this we will attain Krishna. And then in 8.8 again Krishna is stressing the point of remembering Krishna constantly, by which the devotee will reach him. So in this, the example of butterfly given by Prabhupada, like how a caterpillar always pictures himself as butterfly, so he gets the butterfly body in the same life itself. So and then in 8.9, who is the supreme person? So he's like from 8.9 to I think 8.13, he's again mentioning about the Dhyan Yoga, I think, like which Krishna prescribed in 6 chapters. So he's mentioning everything from 8.9 to 8.13. So in 8.9, who is he's telling one should meditate upon the supreme person. So like who is the supreme person? So who is asked to meditate on that supreme person? One who knows everything. So he knows our past, present, and future. So he knows everything. And one who is the oldest. So he is the origin of everything, and everything is born out of him. So he is the oldest. And who is the supreme controller of the universe? He is the like controlling everything. Even he is sustaining everything. He is the maintainer and instructor of all the uh, living entities. And even he is the smaller than the smallest, because he is present in everyone's heart, even in the body of atom. He is present. So he is so small, but still he is maintaining everything. So even the all planetary systems are sustained by him. Then God's energy is beyond our thinking or beyond this material world. Therefore, it is called inconceivable. So this 8.9 is mentioning like who is the supreme person. So he is giving the kind of what to say, the points mentioned here. Yeah, qualification. I don't know what it is. Yeah. So he's mentioning about this, and then in 8.10, word yeah, I think in Yog Balena, I think I
Yoga
read
Balena.
this in purport. Yeah, Yog Balena. So Yog Balena is significant in this verse, because we have to do any kind of yoga, like whether it's bhakti yoga or it's mentioned here, one word mentioned specifically is Shat Chakra Yoga. I think something was mentioned. Yeah, so we should do any kind of yoga. Otherwise, we cannot we cannot come into the state of transcendental state, because we cannot suddenly remember Krishna at the time of death. So we have to do any kind of yoga. Especially Prabhupada is stressing on bhakti yoga, because bhakti yoga is the topmost. Then then again from, as I mentioned, like until 8.13 he is mentioning about the Dhyan yoga, and then in 8.14 he is particularly mentioning about the pure bhakti yoga, like pure bhakti process. So in this devotee desires nothing but Krishna. So the Lord is merciful to all, but he is specially inclined towards those who always serve him without deviation. So Prabhupada is mentioning in this verse the special qualification of pure devotee is that he is always thinking of Krishna without deviation and without considering the time and place. And for this devotee, the Lord is very easily attainable. So this 14th verse is mentioning about the pure devotee, pure bhakti yoga process and the pure devotee. And in 8.15, after returning Krishna, one never returns to this temporary world he is mentioning. So this is what my understanding is. I'm sorry, you can correct me wherever I'm wrong.
No, it's nothing wrong.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Very well summarized. Anybody will like to add something, some realization, some other points that were struck when reading the purport, or Just thinking about the shlokas.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Mataji covered nicely.
Uh-huh.
I have a realization. This for in this 8th chapter from verse 1 to in this 15. I picked as certain verses 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 15. Those are all very nice. I compared it to the material life. For example, we also studied college, everything. Our children also studying. We are seeing that we study. We know when the date comes. I mean, I'm talking about that at the time of the death, we have to remember Krishna. That is important. Krishna, very nice, 5th verse onwards, he is telling, if you remember me, you will attain my nature. Then 6th verse, if he failed to remember me, if we are not remembering, we are remembering something else, then we will attain a certain body. Like this, he tells. So, and also he's telling the way how to prepare the exam kind of thing. So he tells, you do your duty at the same time. I mean, in our daily activity, we have to keep on doing it. Krishna, way to remember. That is, he's telling the way also, how way you have to remember. Like I said, and also he's telling the bhakti path, I think, constantly we have to remember. Then only you can surely, that means the mind the mind is not that easy to focus. So constantly remember only we can focus, like we see it also. And also how he can remember about there are, I mean, different demigods also is there, but Krishna only we have to remember. Krishna also we have to have knowledge about Krishna and remember. Just Krishna, it's not like that. He is the oldest, he is the controller, he is everything, he is the enjoyer, he is invisible. Everything we had to first have a knowledge of Krishna, then only we will have attachment and we can focus the mind to Krishna. Like that, because in the material thing also our mind focuses on our desired liking things. I want this, that, those, our loved ones, always we think certain people. So Krishna, what he is telling, first have knowledge of me, what I am. Like we should understand first Krishna, what he is, how greatest, how he is merciful. If we put everything in our mind, Krishna, about Krishna, everything detail. It's not just Krishna, he's not that his qualities. I can say his pastimes, even Bhagavatam, if we read it, we know more about Krishna, we will like it, So our mind will store that about Krishna. So he's telling the method, this way you should know me, like we say. Then other things, 10, 11, 12, 13 about that through yoga. How we can strengthen the mind, Yoga Balena Mataji told. So strengthen the mind to remember Krishna. For us, it is difficult in this this age of Kali. So Chaitanya Prabhu told to chant. So chanting is important. And the 14th verse also, without deviation, you have to keep on remembering me. Then only, through devotional service he is telling. Through devotional service he is telling, and 15th chapter, then what he is telling this, for example, we tell to children also. I mean, if you study well, use the time properly, have good friendship, and keep focus your studies, whatever the activities, sports or activity you do also, you have to focus your studies, right? Then only they can, for example, college, if you take it for 6 years, if they study also, the result should be there. Just not, I'm also in college. So what you will be in the society? You want to suffer or you want to succeed, have happy life? So Krishna is telling, if you, in the 15th verse, so this world is a misery. So if you don't spend your, say, 6 years of college life or anything, we will suffer only. Society is like that, without money, we cannot live. That is true. So we have to have a certain position. Krishna also telling, prescribed duty. You have to do your prescribed duty and you have to think of me. Arjuna is like a fighter, Kshatriya, so he's telling. So as we are normal people, everybody has a certain jobs. So children, if they grow up, so like it is like that. They have to have some prescribed duty, certain work to survive in this world. At the same time, think of Krishna. So nicely Krishna explained, if you compare this material life, in exam, we know before the exam, when is the exam is coming, so we prepare, and for that certain day. But now we don't know when the death will come. So we are neglecting. Children also same thing. When exam comes, they will study. Until that they play. So now we also never think of the death. But at the time of the death, it is checked. At the time of the examination, a person's how much knowledge, how much time he spent. That is true. If a good studying student, they dedicate more time. So they score well, they succeed. I mean, the material life, I'm telling. But at the same time, now the more time we spend for Krishna, more input if we give to the mind, our mind is, how to say, molded. And we have desire for Krishna. So at the time of the death, we can remember Krishna. So Krishna is giving, I mean, in the exam, we don't know what question comes or how it is, but Krishna already gave an answer for us, how we have to prepare for our death. Like this, and it's very nice. It's make us to prepare for our death. I should not say that way, but that's what, that is bad. But Krishna is telling, before the death comes, to prepare yourself. That time, we remember only Krishna. At the time of death also we can remember, then only we can attain Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, Mataji, you have added very important points, right, about the mind, about the yoga, and like Harimohan Mataji also states the point about doing your prescribed duties. Neglecting them is not the option. Or doing bhakti or devotional service is not an alternative to avoid our duties, right, or our dharma. We cannot do that. Krishna is not encouraging that. So if somebody asks, right, when we preach or something like, I have to give up everything, then this is the shloka, right? No, Krishna has not told to give up the duty. Now, in fact, he's telling this to Arjuna, means that's the best way of doing bhakti, right? Yes, Mataji. And about the Keval Bhakti, right? Very important. Yes. Pure bhakti.
Also now, actually the chanting also we are, I know, for example, exam is not that we namesake study or not study. Exam is there, we sincerely study. Now my chanting, I should not say my chanting is like that only. After reading this, oh, I have to chant properly, then only I can remember Krishna. It's seriously not taken. So this verse, Krishna is making us to realize these verses.
Yeah.
Sadhana bhakti, we have to make it good, sincerely do
every
it.
Moment. Every moment. Yeah, we have to be alert every moment actually. Like this, every round we are chanting, every mantra we are chanting. We should be very alert, because as Mataji also pointed out, we don't know the time, right, of our leaving the body. Nobody knows. So any mantra, any can be the last one, right? That's quite possible.
But now our mind, now the current affair is material things. I have to do this, that, those. That we are giving most importance. Death is, it's finished. We cannot get back anything. That is, I don't know. I feel I'm not getting the seriousness.
Yeah, that's for everyone, Mataji. Like that's why Krishna told about the mind before in the 6th chapter, that he told mind difficult, so you do jnana and you do Ashtanga yoga, right, to control the mind. Because it's if you keep it free, it's difficult. You cannot do the Keval Bhakti if your mind is free, because its natural tendency now is to think about other things, right? So it will go there. So we cannot say that we are pure devotee and we can do pure bhakti. So I'm not required to do mind control and all. But of course, our way of doing mind control, Krishna tells. Remember, and how to remember, that also he tells. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Any other points, Aarti Mataji or Harimohan Mataji or anybody else on the call want to add or share that we should remember from this chapter?
Pretty much everything, like both Matajis have nicely discussed for me. So yeah.
Yes. So let me see. I have some points okay, which can be right. So yes, first is the Krishna's Arjuna's question and Krishna answers, right? Then 5 to 8 is remembering Krishna, why it is important, right? If you remember, you attend. If you remember, Mataji mentioned something else, you go somewhere else, right? Right. So here and then what? Remembering Krishna by Yoga Mishra. Yeah. So Krishna explains about Yoga Mishra Bhakti and pure Bhakti in this chapter, right? And till the 16th verse. So actually, I was checking, like, means not checking, it's very evident that these questions, like these questions, from where these questions came, right? So actually, if we see, you also might have seen that, right? Why Arjuna asked this question suddenly, right? Because in the last 7th chapter, last 2 verses, these words come, right? Jara Maran Moksha Mama Svita Te Brahma Tadvidu Krishna Madhyatman Karma Chakila. Then karma word comes here. Then here it comes, right? Okay. Sa Adi Bhutati Daivam Mam. So here he said Adi Daivam, Adi Bhuta. Sa Adi Yagyam Chaye Vidu Prayana Kale Apicha Mam Te Viduryukta Chetasa. So he's using these words here, right? So if you can understand all these things, then you can achieve the supreme at the death, time of death, right? So from here, I think there is this trigger that Arjuna asked this series of questions, right? Please explain me what is this. Because the last chapter is actually about the knowledge, right? So like Mataji, you were mentioning, the knowledge is important, right? So when we say knowledge, we have seen this when we discuss 7th chapter. So about the Supreme Lord, knowledge means understanding the powers, right? And we also understand the sweetness of the Supreme Lord, right? So 7th chapter, it's there when Krishna tells like this material world, spiritual, everything comes from me, I am the base. Then Krishna tells about some examples, like taste of water and smell in the earth, all that to show that the essence of everything is him. Then he tells, though the essence is everywhere, but still there are so many less people who know me, right? And then who know me, ultimately, I experience the bliss. So he tells about his sweetness also, right? So that is knowledge. So if you attain, if you understand Supreme Lord, what you get sweetness, bliss, right? So then, and at the end, he says, who is the Supreme, who know this? Who is the best yogi? Who knows Adi Deva, Adi Bhuta, Brahman, Karma, everything. So Arjuna asks these questions in detail. And Krishna actually, in very short, he's answering that. He's not taking much detail explanation of that, right? So then any other point I have written. So yeah, from verse 15, verse 5, right? Next 13, 14 verses explain about remembering Krishna, how we can remember in Krishna, right? And yeah, so I underline this point, right? Always think of me and carry out your duty. You have to do your duty. And Krishna is also stressing the point of continuous remembrance, right? So sometimes people say like, okay, if remembering at the time of death, we can get that destination, then okay, at the time of death, I will remember God. Let me do whatever I am doing now. But Krishna is not encouraging that, because Krishna is saying constant remembrance is important. Nityasha, what was the word? Let us see the word. Because that word, 2 words are there, right? Yoga Yuktena. So, so this word, Anyagamina, without deviating. So the mind should not be deviated. Your intelligence should not be deviated. So it's not like that in the life you will do anything and then at the end you will achieve the God. No. So even if you are not doing Keval Bhakti, you are doing some Yoga Mishra Bhakti, right? Because here he's talking about some yoga, control the mind and focus it, right? So he's telling that even if you are practicing that type of bhakti, still you have to focus continuously. Yeah? So anyway, there is no way, like Krishna is saying that you do something, one thing, the problem will be solved. No, it's not like that, right? So that is one point. Here, I actually, yeah. So in 9 and 10 talks about Yoga Mishra Bhakti, right? So he says, because the point that we were discussing, right? The mind is difficult, right? Mind is difficult to control. It will anyway go here and there. It's always going to be like that. Okay. So Krishna says, okay, how to control the mind, right? So you have to remove that mind from the sense objects. And therefore that you have to do some practice. So then he says, okay, if you practice yoga on the Supreme Person, how to do it? So you should know who is the Supreme Person, right? That Srila Prabhupada is Sat Chakra Yoga, right? But in all these explanations, right, he is the smallest, he is the biggest. These are all contradictory statements, right? He is the smallest, but he is everywhere. He is the smallest, but he is the controller of everything. He is the control of everything, where he is smaller than the smallest. So if you see this example of, or not example, the qualities given of the Supreme Lord are contradictory to each other. We don't see such things in material world, right? If you are powerful, then you have some powerful position or you are powerful body. You are not the small. You cannot be powerful having no position and very small normal person. Not possible. So it's very contradictory to mind to understand this. But Krishna is saying, no, no, you understand that this is the supreme. So this is inconceivable to you, but you understand it. And then you focus on him. Then how he focus that, okay, you at the end of the time of the death, right, you have to utter Omkar, right? So Omkar is also presentation of Supreme Lord, right? And then you can reach the destination. And so, yeah, in the 12, it's talking about the mind again, right? The mind has to be established in yoga. Then this one point that I wrote, actually I wrote means I came across while reading Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, right? Because Krishna is explaining about Yog Mishra Bhakti here, and then 14 and 15 he's talking about Keval Bhakti, right? The pure Bhakti, like you all mentioned, right? 18 to 16 is Keval Bhakti. So before that, what other types of Bhakti Krishna explained here, right? In 7.16, he explained about karma mishra bhakti, right? Because you do karma and but you still continue the bhakti. Then 27, 29, he talk about desire of liberation. And so janma mrityu jara vyadhi. So if you want to get liberated from that, then also you do bhakti. So that type of description. Now in 9 to 13, he explained about the Yog Mishra Bhakti. Just now we saw that yoga, on whom you should meditate, all those descriptions. Right? Now he's talking about the Keval Bhakti. So here he is saying, like in 8.14, there's words are coming, right? Satatam Nityasha. So if you can remember always, continuously, then what it is, it's sulabha, it's very easy to attain if you can remember. So here, actually, like Mataji's point is clarified, right? If you can remember, it is easy. So Krishna understands that you cannot remember in this material world. It is difficult. It is difficult to remember continuously. So he's acknowledging that point. That because if you can remember, you go to him, but it's not possible, right? So there will be distractions. So fine. So you have to somehow keep trying. So then there is one word, abhyasa yoga yuktena. Right? So you have to do practice. You have to keep practicing this. Then Krishna tells like, okay, by doing the Keval Bhakti, you easily attain me. What happens after that? Then you don't come back. Because that is the highest paramam gata. That is the highest goal you can achieve. Right? So then you don't come back. Yeah. So after this, Krishna goes into discussion like if you don't achieve the perfect goal, right? Paramam, what happens? And then the description starts with Abrahma Bahuna Loka. That will start from the next verse. But Krishna here also is telling Arjuna that you have to anyway fight because he's stressing that main point. Now he's changing the topic. So he explained everything. But everything is not applicable for Arjuna at this stage. You cannot go to forest and do yoga. He cannot just work on gaining the knowledge. He cannot just work and get attached to the results, just doing the karma. He has to fight because he's avoiding that. So he's avoiding his nishkam karma. He's avoiding his karma also, his dharma also. So all that is not applicable to Arjuna. So he's telling Arjuna, you only option for you is you do Keval Bhakti. You fight because I am telling you. You fight. And how you fight? Just remember Krishna. Right? So, see, to be honest with all of you, right? It's very easy to say these things when we discuss or when we give lecture. Right? Oh, always remember Krishna. Don't forget Krishna. As Arjuna is doing, we also should do. It's very easy to say, but it's very difficult to apply. That is my honest opinion. Okay, because of our various anarthas and our various distractions and attachments and everything. It's not easy. It's very challenging. Sometimes we forget Krishna. In my case, I can say. Okay, sometimes we don't remember if I'm too much caught up in the work or there are some challenges. So many times it happens that I just forgot. I get so much carried away by that situation. I don't remember Krishna. Suddenly then it strikes, oh, what I'm doing. Last 2 hours I'm doing just got catch up in all these things, but I forgot Krishna. Right? So this thing happens. At least with me, my practical experience is that it happens, and that actually is the indication that still we have to practice. We need more practice. I need more practice. Then only I can do Keval Bhakti because then only it is Sulabha. Otherwise, it's not. It's practically we can experience. I am experiencing that if you forget Krishna, the life is difficult. But sometimes I also have this experience that sometimes the situation is that you are so much physically, mentally, emotionally so much tired, okay, of this everything, and it's not exactly depression, but then you don't want anything. Means I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Right? You don't want anything. So at that moment, you want peace, right? So at that moment, we even don't want to read any Bhagavatam, or we also don't want to chant. No, I want just to sit. I will just go to mountain and I will just sit. I will go to sea and I will just sit. It happens. I have experienced this. I don't want to chant also right now. So our situation, my situation, I am telling you right, honestly that it happens sometimes that that's it. We get carried away by the situation and we cannot control. And that time we cannot do bhakti part also, right? So we need still much more practice. Right? I understand that. So this verses, this chapter, it tells like the continuous remembrance is important throughout the life. Then only you can remember at the death. This if you are Krupa Siddha, if Krishna gives Krupa, everything is possible. So even if full life you have not done any bhakti, at the end of your life, somehow Krishna will give Krupa, mercy, and you will remember. We have this case of Ajami. Right? So if Krupa is there, everything is possible, of course. Right? Krishna is the most merciful. So if he decides, he can do anything. But it completely depends on him. Now Kartik is going on. Damodar Leela tells us we cannot just depend on Krishna, right? We have to first endeavor. We have learned that from Yashoda. She endeavors and depends on Krishna. So we have to keep practicing, we have to keep trying. And that is bhakti, for my understanding. That is what is bhakti, that you keep trying, you failing, keep trying. So this chapter actually supports that basic fundamental principles that we have to follow. Always remember, yes, but why always remember? Because Krishna knows you will forget. Right? So he knows you will forget. So okay, we accept, we forgot. Again, remember. Okay, I think that's what something I was able to relate to my practical experiences and some realizations. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I completely related to what you said, that many times it happens like we just don't want to do anything. We just want to sit and no
Yeah.
chanting, nothing. So
Yeah.
it happens with me so much.
Yeah, that's our situation. What to do? Sometimes
Yes.
if somebody comes and says, "Oh, let's do kirtan," you are not in mood to do kirtan, right? So you cannot do kirtan. So I say, no, I don't want to do kirtan right now. Why I say? Because I am not at that stage, right? So what to do? It's okay.
I was just thinking that in material world also, if we want to achieve something, like, so for that also we have to practice so much. So like if someone in material world, if he is into some position, big position, so for that he has practiced so much, then he has got that position. So I think in Krishna consciousness also, Krishna is also mentioning the same thing, that we have to practice a lot. Otherwise it's very difficult to remember at the time of death.
It's impossible.
Yes, yes.
So if Krupa is there, fine, but at least we have to try very sincerely.
Yes. Prabhuji, I have one question. Actually, I heard that Prabhupada, I think one short video was there of Srila Prabhupada on YouTube, and I heard this like very like few years ago, but I always had this question. I think in that Prabhupada was mentioning that since Krishna is mentioning in Bhagavad Gita that whoever goes to spiritual world never comes back. But in that video, Prabhupada is mentioning about like 5-10% of the person who falls down from the spiritual world. So I always get confused by that statement. So I don't know if I misinterpreted that statement, or like what was that. So I always wanted that answer. If you
Yeah,
can.
actually, this is a debatable question now also, right? Like all
Oh,
devotees have different views, right? If Krishna says we never fall down, then how come there is okay, Jai Vijay and all these are the special cases, right? And Krishna asking his devotees to take avatar or come on this earth when Krishna is coming. Okay, those are the exceptional cases. Like that time, the pure devotees come on this earth. Right? So because Krishna tells them that I am going to incarnate, so you all also to come. So all the Nitya Siddhas come on this.
yes, yes, yes.
Right?
Yeah,
So that
so
is
actually, sorry, sir. Yeah, you continue.
no, go ahead,
Sorry.
go ahead.
No. Yeah, actually, you mentioned that they are the Nitya Siddhas, but I think Prabhupada was mentioning about the 5-10% of devotees who like they want to enjoy in some sense, so that's why they fall down. So I was thinking that if one is in spiritual world, so how come they have the tendency to enjoy themselves, because such things already vanishes, then only one goes to the spiritual world. So I was not knowing that this question is debated.
Yeah, this is
Sorry.
this is always like but in 13th chapter, right? Because Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, right? Okay, this because we cannot trace out the origin, right? How, say, for myself, my soul, how it came into this world, we cannot trace out. What is my past birth, before that, we cannot trace out, right? So
Right.
when we say that the jiva is eternally here, because that the meaning of that is because we cannot trace out, right? So we don't know when we the start, right? So it is eternally here. So, but then Srila Prabhupada says, okay, so if you cannot trace out how it has happened, then why you waste your time in that? Because
Right.
you don't have resources to find out. No? How can somebody has to tell you that this is what happened with you, and then, but who will tell that, right? So, if even if you try to find out from Shastra or Veda, you cannot find out for yourself or for anybody. So why to waste time in this, right? So now we are here. So just think of the solution. In 13th chapter, Srila Prabhupada says like material world is like this. So you don't have much time to analyze how it happened, right? But so there are statements like both ways, right? We are eternally here, and then we want to go. Now it's our duty to go back to God or back to spiritual world. So eternally means no trace. That is one meaning of eternal, right? So how we fall down. But I have heard the lectures like if Krishna says no one fall down, then the fall down is maybe a wrong word that we are using actually. Okay.
Yes.
So that's not a correct word maybe we use, because if Krishna says, here also he's saying you don't come back, then
Yes.
then you don't come back. So finish. There is
Yes.
no debate about that, right? But
Right.
then people say like, then how this? Then why we are here, right? This question comes, right? Then why we are here, right? So, but that there is no trace, right? But Krishna has created this material world, and Krishna says, I didn't create it for myself. I created it for you because you wanted to enjoy somehow. Right? So, but there is no trace. So Prabhupada says, forget the real cause, find the work on the solution. That's better. Yeah. So yeah, these questions will come whenever we hear these lines or read these lectures, like, okay, how I fall down? Is I'm working here is a fall down? But no, we cannot say like that, right? So if we are cannot directly say that I am a liberated soul or I am fallen down. We don't know, but we can see the fact. Okay, I am in this world, but there are so many jivas in this world, but not everybody is doing bhakti, right? Or at least trying to do bhakti. So I am trying to do bhakti. I'm okay if I'm connected with ISKCON, or I'm if connected with Pushti Marg or Ramanuja Marg somewhere. So I am participating in some of the society who are trying to do bhakti. So I don't know. This is a part of the show that is going on, that these people will do, these people will not do, something like that may be going on, right? Because our span of life is 80 years. It's too small to actually analyze and to understand actually, because our 84 lakh species, right? In that, this one body, I don't know that this time we have human body. Maybe last year last birth also we had human body, right? And we are just evolving in the human body for so many lifetimes. Don't know why, right? So what is the karmas we are doing? So we are just evolving, and this material world as a existence, it's too long period for us to imagine anything, right? So from Krishna's point of view, where there is no past present in the spiritual world, this material world time is very less. It's like 1 second or something for him, his life, his lifespan, right? But for us it is too long. So that's why the statements of Krishna, right, very easily, quickly, is from his perspective, right? So the falling down and all these concepts also come like that, right? Because it's just that we are away from Krishna. That's how I take it actually. And so
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Arjuna's example also we see, right? Arjuna also
Sorry for
got
my
divided.
question. Yes.
Yeah, but this
Yes,
question
yes.
is important. We have to understand from broader perspective, right? Just not take it to, we have to go into some detail and analyze, right? Okay, what's happening. That's important, I think. Okay,
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
no problem. Krishna is telling Arjuna, Krishna is in front of Arjuna, and Krishna is telling to Arjuna, you remember me. So that also is a contradictory, right? You are his chariot driver. You are always in front of him, but you are asking him to remember him. How? Right? How is this instruction, right? So this instruction for us, because anyway, Arjuna will see Krishna every time he fights, right? So that's inconceivable things. I hope this helps for you to get some clarity on the
Yes,
exact.
Thank you so much.
Any other comment or some question or anything?
Thank you so much for the nice question and the nice explanation. So at least we are having the solution to go back. That is really great. Then
Yeah,
fine.
that is better, I think.
Yes, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Okay. So we can stop for today. Next week we will complete the 8th chapter. After Keval Bhakti, what happens, right? It's more interesting next verses. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for good questions, good answers, good realizations, good summary, very important points, and most important for the association. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
So much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.